Well, I won't say I'm quite the master archaeologist of the Horus Heresy, but I know enough to be dangerous. That's for sure. But pretty much starting back way at the beginning of the Imperium, the Emperor just kind of built his Primarchs. They were a bunch of superhuman, not so much replications of himself, but um, kind of titans for him, and he put them together, and a couple of them went sideways, and we ended up in 40K. Dan, shoot me a line here. Um, Out of the original traders, it was the Sons of Horus, which were originally the Lunar Wolves. They were the War Master Horus. He was the one that ultimately ended up leading the rebellion against the Emperor. He very wouldn't say underhanded, but he was driven by Logar's chapter, the Word Bearers, who originally, when the Emperor discovered Logar, he was a worshiper of the Emperor. He touted the Emperor as a living god, and the Emperor just kind of, nope, nope, nope. I'm not a god. I don't play one on TV. Don't attempt to be one. And from that, he started becoming discontent with the Emperor and started making pacts with the different chaos gods. I can't remember who um, the word bearers primary huh? Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember who his primary chaos god was, but um, him along with yeah, so he was just chaos, chaos, chaos. Um, Whereas, oh Lord, I can think of their founding chapter name, the Dusk Raiders, but I can't remember what the Nurgle Marines are called now. Yes, but their chapter. Wow, I'm batting 1,000 today. This this is what a crap ton of work will do to you with minimal rest. Um, yeah, yep, yep. The word bearers were the ones that not kind of, that did push Horus right up to the edge there, and kind of gave him the nudge once he was at the edge. He nearly died being stabbed by a anathane, which would be a kind of a demon blade, and it was the only only thing that could lay low a Primarch, and it nearly did. But after making a deal with some Chaos Gods, they kind of waved the no, not the white flag. They started showing him the roses and honey, and that they wanted him to see. And hey, the Emperor's leaving you behind. He made you War Masters so you can be out here on the fringe and fight my battles for me. I'm gonna go back home and live off the interest of all the work I've done so far, and you guys go. Yeah, uh, kinda. Yeah, it's a glossy, glossed over version of it, but um, the Death Guard. That's who I was trying to think of. They they kind of come around, and they were one of the first to run across them. And but yeah, any questions there in chat or anything to help me back from this ledge? Okay. Oh, Istvan system. Yep. The Death Guard never really were hugely direct followers of Chaos. They were very point and purpose. They're they're like Marines. You tell them to take a beach, they'll take the beach and do whatever they have to do to get it. They just kind of saw joining the Chaos, or not the Chaos, joining yeah, joining not the legions, joining the Chaos Gods is kind of a benefit to them. Just, oh, cool, you guys are going to help us be bigger and tougher and kill people. Cool, let's do it. So, oh, that's cool. Yeah, really. Um, Man, that's awesome. Greatest show ever. Just get to listen to me bumble around for 10 minutes. Um, yeah, pretty much yeah, I've got it. Okay. Um, yeah, pretty much after Istvan, the the like I had said, Horus was wounded on the moon of Davin, and they healed him. Spent a couple of days, and they call it a Serpent Lodge, but it's a pretty much a shrine to chaos, and that was before man, Space Marines, the Emperor fully understood what all chaos was. And when Horus was in a coma or passed out or hallucinating, whatever it was. He had made a deal with the gods to come back, and he would fight for them, but he had to be able to kill Sanguinius and a couple of his other brothers under his own power just to prove to himself that he could.
Okay, hang on one second there, Ryan. Could you guys hear me now in chat? And are you hearing him double through my microphone as well? Because I'm seeing the audio working now, but I'm not seeing the double effect. Like it's bouncing. Okay, so Ryan, go ahead and talk. And you guys hearing him double is what I need to know now. Matt, if you would.
Hi, Matt. Now I'm hearing double.
Okay, good. All right.
So,
Well, yeah,
okay, that
you
works.
turn your volume up for the stream. I just want to know if they were hearing double because I can see my mic bouncing, and so I was making sure when you were talking it was bouncing. It just must be me breathing or something. So I'll make sure to breathe heavier
Okay.
into the microphone for you guys to get super excited about. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so Horus had been wounded at Davin, spent about a week in the Serpent Lodge, come out and decided he wanted to combat raise combat against his own people, and hey, cool, let's fight. He began a campaign back towards Terra, stopping in the Cygnus cluster to or he didn't stop. He set a trap for Sanguinius in the Cygnus cluster so he could attempt to kill him, and Sanguinius sent quite a bit of his forces, but he went on his own way back to Terra to try and head Horus off. And in the meantime, there were several other campaigns going on. The Battle of Tarsus with Fulgrim and his Emperor's Children, and he had quite a mix up there. And then all at the same time, it's just a giant mess of things going wrong every which way, and he he sets up. I wouldn't say he set it up, but he helped work the Council of Nicaea, which was a
Counts of IKEA, so his stuff broke really easy.
yeah, Nicaea, close. Hey, I've
It's like
got a
the
lot of
distant,
IKEA furniture.
distant cousin. You know,
Yeah, I've got a lot of IKEA furniture. It holds up pretty
it's made
well.
out of paper mache instead of wood. I got you.
Yeah. I think this desk is. Um, but they passed a decree that all the librarious departments of all the chapters would be closed down because they were attempting to harness the power of the warp, and since it was still pretty well unknown, they were running into issues with psychers blowing themselves up and squads just killing themselves. So they um, at the council in IKEA, they decided to close down all of the librarious units in all the chapters. And for the Thousand Sons, this was a real issue because every Thousand Son is very psychically active.
Okay.
So pretty much it took they had become so used to being psychers above being warriors that their combat effectiveness was greatly diminished. And on top of that, Magnus the Red he had oh, sorry,
Well, he
brain
said he
freeze there.
attempts to warn the emperor too, according to this. So, like in
Yep,
734, he the Thousand Sons Primarch Magnus ends up trying to warn the emperor of his brother's fall, using psychic arts forbidden in the Edict of the Council of Nicaea, like you were talking about, and then all kinds of hell breaks loose after that, right? So,
yep. When he went to warn the emperor, his father, he had pretty much, it's like hacking a computer. He had
hmm
just brute forced his way through all of the psychic barriers
right, and so he
that
broke one.
the emperor had.
hmm
So he completely destroyed that and gave all of the chaos gods the keys to the kingdom.
Fair enough. And then, so like, did you get most of your knowledge of this stuff from reading the lore books, from reading the novels, or what's been your kind of specialty with that as far as like learning?
Um,
What's been your, like, if you've done both? I don't know if you have, but if you um, have you found the novels to be a little bit better, or just the straight up rule books, etc.?
I tend to like the novels in audiobook form.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the is it that, and those are on Audible, or did you just get those through like
Yep,
I know
those are on Audible,
they were on
and
Humble Bundle as well at one point.
yep, and you can get them through GW's direct from GW, the Black Library website.
Right. I have this old stuff too. Like I found this to be really cool. This is from like believe seventh edition.
Okay.
And this the Galaxy at War and the Dark Millennium books are
Oh,
really
yep,
neat. Yeah, I found these to be really interesting. I haven't gotten super hardcore into them, obviously, but these are just really neat, kind of to go through and stuff. And this one, I believe the Dark Millennium is the actual lore book.
yep, yep. Yeah, I've got that same box set sitting right here. And actually, give me just a second here, because I've got one even further back.
Yeah, so I mean, audiobooks definitely for chat out there sound really cool, especially if you got a long drive. Once we're back out of Corona virus
Yeah,
time, would be really something to pick up. I listen to audiobooks all the time. I have over like 500 or something like that. I'll have to pick up. I didn't realize that these were on Audible now. Last time I had checked, you had to buy them through the Dark Library or Black Library rather. So.
yep. Well, Dark Library is quite a different site. But yeah, I've got
Special links to
this.
Pornhub.
This would be the second edition
Oh wow, yeah, look at
version
that.
of your Dark Millennium.
That's some old stuff there.
Yeah. And then this one was pretty much a codex.
hmm
And then this one I really enjoyed. This was the War Gear supplement. And then, of
Okay.
course, the rules supplements a whole nother book. But just over all the years I've picked up from different different places and lore rule books and anywhere you can get it. A lot of times you can pick up the older stuff for pretty cheap. Sometimes some of the codexes are ridiculously expensive for the old second and third edition ones, just because they didn't print a ton of them and people are figuring out that there aren't a ton out there anymore.
Yeah, as they get older, they actually become more valuable. Go figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I've noticed like a lot of times you can pick up some really good finds on like Craigslist with like garage sales and types things like that, where they got a whole bunch of book sets of people who had them for years and years and finally just getting rid of them. And then of course eBay and stuff. But
Yep.
I like picking up some of the old books. I've got a literal shelf of old Warhammer third edition and on books that are always neat to take a look back at anytime you're playing in an army or whatever. So.
Yep. The other really good place I've found a lot of good deals is at different events like Adepticon or Gen Con. They'll have their little flea market type
hmm
days, and those are always a good day to go pick through a box of books and find a stack of white dwarves from 15 years ago or whatever.
Cool. That's pretty neat.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So to kind of delve back the other
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
So obviously, so when they split off, so they had their war, right? Like that's what the 30K is all about, is the war between the different chapters
Yep.
after the chaos. So as that progressed, like what was like the first spark to it or whatever where they hit? I never really knew like where the first big battles happened or how that all played out. I don't almost nothing about the 30K area. I'm more because I'm an Eldar player, of course. I got a little more knowledge there, but not much of the Horus Heresy. So fill me in.
Yeah. Pretty much the biggest and initial attack was Istvan 3. Um, the Sons of Horus at the time, it was right after they had changed from the Lunar Wolves. They became the Sons of Horus. The Emperor's Children, the Death Guard, and the World Eaters all were tasked with bringing Istvan back under compliance because they were told that the government of Istvan had turned against the emperor after they had been settled and brought into the Imperium. Well, the more loyal to the emperor's side of all four of those armies, the Sons of Horus, the Emperor's Children, the Death Guard, and the World Eaters, were all sent down to the planet. Well, after a little while, I can't remember how long it is in the story, an hour or two, Horus begins orbital bombardment against his own men and the enemy
Hmm.
and levels the planet,
Okay.
which not not a horrible deal, but they were a modernized planet to them, and they had a number of bunkers and other sites where a number of holdouts could hide. And they ended up turning, I guess, rebels. I don't know how loyalists would be rebels, but they were rebels against their own people. Um, and they, excuse me,
Oh, you're good.
they held up the. I can't remember what the story was. It was a number of months, maybe into years, that they held up Horus's plans because he didn't want to leave there until he was sure that he could kill his own disloyal to him people.
Okay.
So he didn't want to leave the site. But a frigate called the Eisenstein had managed to break free with, and it was a Death Guard frigate, if I remember correctly,
Okay.
was able to flee the site with a loyalist crew
Hmm.
and get word. They were damaged on their way out of the battle. They did manage to reach warp space, but when they dropped out of warp space, their ship was very damaged. And oh crap, what was his name? One of the Marine officers, because all of the ship's crew are all still human,
Hmm.
so they're only think maybe 60. I don't think there are even 60 Marines on this ship, and their Geller fields are down, and the Geller fields keep the warp demons and whatnot from coming into a ship when it's in the warp traveling. Well, the Geller fields were damaged, so they were slowly leaking demons into the ship. through this travel.
Mm-hmm.
So slowly it was bleeding off and killing the warp spawn were killing Marines slowly and just whittling their numbers down.
Mm-hmm.
When they came out of warp space, the ship was so heavily damaged they couldn't make another warp jump, running out of food, fuel, supplies, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
That old chestnut. They the one of the Marine commanders took charge of the ship and decided that the only thing they could do was eject the warp engine, detonate it, and that would be kind of a beacon or a flare
Mm-hmm.
to someone to help or to come find them. And they ended up Rogel Dorn and the Imperial Fists ended up finding them,
Gotcha.
and later they did continue on to Terra because Rogel Dorn had been recalled back to Terra to work on the defenses of the Golden Palace, the Emperor's Palace on Earth, and they had got caught in a warp storm on the way. So
Okay.
warp is a very fickle place to travel. Everyone,
Well, it's a
oh
chaos
hey,
reigns, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
a
it's
lot
kind of
of
go ahead.
people. I think Event Horizon did the little fold a piece of paper in half and poke two holes in it. Well, pretty much from some of the older stuff I've seen, the more apt description is you take a waveform and you
Mm-hmm.
poke a hole through it. And if you get lucky, you come out right where you want when you want.
Right.
The rest of the time, you're somewhere in the middle. Maybe now, maybe 10 millennia from now.
Right. Excuse me. Yeah. So it's interesting. Um. So we are coming up on about half an hour on here. Do you want to take a little break here?
Um, Probably not a bad idea.
Okay. So we're gonna take about a 5 minute break here, chat. If you guys have any questions, you want to come up with some questions while we're on break here, that would be fantastic to kind of get us through some more of the information on the Horus Heresy. And I will do the same as well. So we're switching over to break, and we will see you shortly. Wrong button. Alrighty, we are back in action here. Back with some more 40k Horus Heresy lore. Thanks for sticking around. Um, so we went over a decent amount of the beginning, kind of how things went down, and stuff like that. What was kind of the aftermath, Ryan, of that? The consequences for the Imperium directly, other than
The
obviously going to war.
Yeah, other than going to war with itself, the emperor's sorry, the war master was kind of the emperor's commander in chief, and he had direct operational knowledge and the ability to order all of the other chapters to off to different areas. So he used that before he turned traitor and sent quite a number of the different legions whole, completely whole, just, hey, you guys, you're going out to the Eastern Rim, and hey, you guys are going out to the Western Rim. Get as far away from Terra as you possibly can, because that's what I want you to
Right.
do.
And so that, I mean, the consequences that he obviously sent them, those are the ones he felt like couldn't get changed over to chaos.
Yeah, and he directed a number of them into very dangerous areas. Quite a few of them took a great many losses, and that created its own issues, as well as he created a schism in the priesthood of Mars, which are the armors and weapon makers for the Imperium. And for a good amount of time, he took down, well, one didn't directly take down, but he had orchestrated them taking down the manufacturing capabilities of Mars. So it limited their immediate ability to rearmor and arm their the loyal Marines and armies.
Okay.
And then, no, go ahead, Dan.
I was saying, okay, that's interesting. I had to jump away for a second. I was getting yelled at. Um, so, yeah. So I mean, um, did those legions end up getting back, or did they end up getting destroyed once they
Good
got
number
sent?
of them. Yeah, good number of them came back. The Thousand Sons, like I had said, due to the ruling at the council in IKEA,
Mm-hmm.
they got
And now you're saying
pretty,
IKEA.
pretty, yeah, they got pretty well torn apart, and they were down to their last 1,000 people or 1,000 Marines. So they kept the moniker Thousand Sons,
Gotcha.
and they that and the Raven Guard also took a pretty heavy loss. They were down to their um, last chapter,
Mm-hmm.
or not chapter, their last company of Marines, and they were given task by the Emperor. Hey, go here. This is where I've got special equipment set up for a project. You'll know when you get there. One of those very fetch questy, hey, go here. Well, what am I looking for? You'll know it when you see it.
Right.
And pretty much they were directed to a site to make more Marines, and they had been able to work out a couple of the kinks that the Emperor couldn't in the process, and they were thwarted by, oh Christ, can't brain today. The Alfaris Omegon Alpha Legion. There
Okay.
we go.
Okay.
They were thwarted by operatives of the Alpha Legion that had gotten into their ranks
Mm-hmm.
and corrupted the gene seed of the project they were doing, and pretty much the Raven Guard still to this day, 10,000 years later, haven't correctly recovered from that yet.
Gotcha.
Along with that, the Ultramarines are Ultramarines. We know the Blue Boys.
Right.
There are a million of them. They doesn't matter. They're like cockroaches. You step on one, three more show up. But in the aftermath of all of the betrayals, Horus did eventually end up making it to Terra and got killed by the Emperor, who he also mortally wounded. And that's one of the common, I don't want to say tropes, but one of the common images that we always see. I know there are a million different depictions of it. Normally, Sanguinius is lying on the stairway and dead. Sanguinius was Horus's best friend coming up, and just it was shit deal.
Right. So here's a question, completely a little bit off topic though, Anya. Just when you're bringing up the Blue Boys cockroach thing, kind of made me think of it. I've always been curious, and maybe you know, or maybe you don't, but how they produce more Space Marines in general? Like obviously hundreds of them, thousands of them die in all these massive conflicts all over the place. What is the actual production? Are they just reappearing?
Pretty much it's a, oh boy. Um, Initially, for a lot of the Ultramarines have it pretty easy where they come from on Ultimar and Makaraj. It's a farming planet.
So
That's
they
what they
just
do.
right, they just
They
reproduce
farm.
more people there
Yep.
constantly. Okay.
But they well, no, they're a actual farm.
Okay.
They produce food. Um, they, like any of our militaries, they have a standing military of Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, whatever.
Hmm.
Well, the Ultramarines don't so much pull from them, they pull from the general populace. And okay, yeah, this guy looks promising. Hey, you have any interest? Well, not so much asking him, they insist
Sure.
and run them through pretty much basic training before they do anything to them. They make sure that they're physically and mentally fit to be a space marine, and provided they pass all of the basic training equivalent, whatever, then after that, they, in the process, they begin genetically modifying them on a small scale, just feeding them growth enhancers and whatnot, different stuff. After they pass that, they begin further modifying them, adding extra organs. They've got a secondary heart, a third lung,
Hmm.
acid glands. They've got, it's called the black carapace. It's kind of a thin layer of body armor that goes underneath your skin. It's the interface for all of their armor and accessories. Um, they've got, God, I can't even think of it. I can
It's okay.
picture the page perfectly. Back in the third edition codex, they had literally, it was a
For
one
which army?
page,
For the Space Marine
just,
Codex?
and I believe it was.
Okay.
It was either that or the second edition book, but it literally goes through and here are all the different modifications that happen between a human to a space marine.
Right.
Here we go.
We found it.
Yep. Secondary heart, bone strengthener, uh, taste. What's neuroglottis? By chewing, tasting, or smelling a substance, they can test it for toxicity and nutritive content.
Hmm.
They've got more efficient blood, healing organ, kind of a T cell T cell producer. They've got a special node in their brain that they can use to shut down parts of their brain that they're not using, so they don't have to sleep. Yeah, I know. I'd love that.
Right.
Um, they've got a pre-stomach, which allows them to digest poisons. Um, like I said, they've got a third lung. They've got a different construction of their ear. They've got just stacks and stacks and stacks of modifications they do. And at any level of this, the modifications can be rejected by the host, and 95% of the time the host dies. And if
Gotcha.
not, then they're turned into a servitor for the chapter.
Interesting.
If they've got the capacity to still be able to do that.
Right.
But all of the different um, chapters are all different. I know the Chaos Marines are very different. Theirs are some of the, I think in one of the Space Marine novels in the 40K universe, they went into detail about a Death Guard Chaos Marine that pretty much was born a demon child that was skinless, and they had flesh farms where they would just force feed these creatures just to grow their flesh and
Mm-hmm.
use it to skin the new recruits, and
That's fun.
just yeah, crazy levels of stuff you would see in horror movies. But
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, to say the least. Um, but yeah, uh, what else you got, Dan?
So we got about 10 minutes left. So like I would like to kind of jump a little bit forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the after what has been the aftermath of Horus Heresy? Obviously we have the Chaos Gods who now have legions and are running amok here. And like what's your thoughts on the progression of the storyline, since I know they didn't do it for what 30 years or whatever, 25 years,
Yeah,
and then suddenly now they're pushing it forward. What's your opinion on how that is progressing, and how, have you liked that? Have you disliked it? Do you think it's moving in a good way or a bad way, etc.?
I I generally live by a pretty simple any movement is good. If it's good or bad, it's
Hmm.
going to be movement somewhere. It'll produce some sort of outcome.
Right.
I I like that they're moving the story forward because then the guys like me and Kenny actually have something new to ingest.
Right.
Because I guarantee you Kenny would absolutely floor me on all of this stuff and probably cuff me upside the head for getting any of it wrong. But I am definitely looking forward to the new releases from GW. I love a lot of what they're doing now,
Hmm.
and it's hands down it's a entirely different company than it was even 5 years ago. and I'm loving it.
That's good.
Now, if I can just make a little extra time to do something with it,
Right.
and get out of this COVID lockdown.
Yeah, I feel you. Let's see here. So, obviously, did you like what did you think about the aftermath of the stuff? Like, as far as like, do you enjoy the fight between the two? Like, again, I know that they're progressing the stories. Have you involved yourself any inside of those battles? I know that they have the ones where you actually can they come up with a battle or scene or whatever. Have you played any of those? I know they did quite a few of them in seventh and a little bit at least in eighth.
Mm-hmm.
With the new books that have come out, and obviously they're charging for those, but they've involved the community a little bit better on how things progress. Whether this planet gets taken over by this uh, Legion or defended or whatever. How have you felt about those things?
I like them. They're a good touch. Um, I mean, hands down, it's cool that they're doing it. Um, I'm really enjoying watching how it's working out.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, I don't have a whole lot on that one, so
That's okay. I'm just I've the so for from an outside perspective of somebody who isn't super into the lore or hasn't been, um, I have found like I really do like the storyline ones where they have the planets that are in siege or whatever, and you're involving yourself in those battles. I do really enjoy those narrative campaigns, especially if you can get a group of friends together to kind of run through those narrative campaigns. It's really neat. We ran a few of them, me and my buddy, especially when the Inari first came out in seventh, and then what we did is we went
hmm
back and did them in eighth when it actually like stuff calmed the hell down. And then we played with indexes, and it was really neat to go like
okay,
from story to story because they like what was the ones we had there were like this battle happens and then what was the outcome, that's the effect to the next battle and how the setup happens, how many points you have, etc. So I thought that was a really neat way for them to do that.
yeah, yeah. Back in I think third edition, I did back then. They did it with the Battle of Armageddon,
Yep. That was a big
and
one.
that
I do remember that.
oh yeah, that one was huge, and I think that was the first of its kind thing, and they kind of took a hiatus after that, and
hmm
I never quite understood that because at the I remember at the culmination of that one, the they gave out trophies to the different game stores for like the top competing people there, and it was cool. It was crazy cool stuff back then.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And it's kind of neat too that you can go to some of these older books. Like you could go play that Armageddon thing again too, if you picked it up today, and go back through and just alter the stuff to make it work, which is really neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Do you have anything else you wanna hit on before we close her up shop here in particular?
nothing in particular.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't get any questions unfortunately from the chat here. But if anybody has any last minute questions, feel free to jump on in. All in all, yeah, definitely for the next time around that we decide to come in and do this, I'll have to listen to some of those audio books and myself. I have a bunch of audio credits right now, so that sounds like good stuff to me. Um,
Yeah, send a few of them my way.
yeah, is are they unabridged ones or are they abridged?
Unabridged.
Oh, that's nice. I can't stand the abridged ones. I had BattleTech audiobooks that were abridged, and it was
Oh
just awful. Because
God, you
I had,
murdered.
like I read them back in the day, so I knew what the story was. And I was like, this would be cool to listen to again. And like it was just
Yeah,
an abridged version. It was like 3 hours, and like a typical probably 10 or 12 hour book. And it was just like, oh, this is terrible.
yeah.
This is awful. Like just
It.
timelines were jumping like years ahead of each other,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, I don't
Well,
understand.
what was it? The Legend of Korinsky series.
Oh man, yeah,
I
I yeah, I love those
That
books.
one was always a good one. But yeah, so what else you got? Anything?
Like I said, I don't unfortunately know a ton, so I don't have anything really to fill in with. But so we'll go ahead and close the show. Want to thank people who came on and gave us a watch, and obviously if you're on YouTube there too, give us a follow on Twitch if you feel like finding more. We have this show every Friday. Tomorrow on Saturday we have every Saturday our hobby time. Involves 3 to 4 people usually. We go over a whole bunch of different things. This week we have some really cool hobby topics coming up, so hopefully you'll be able to join us for those ones. And then going forward, we have our competitive show on Monday with myself and Eric, and then hopefully soon, I believe John's going to be back next week on Friday for this show. Kind of give you another person who knows a
Mm-hmm.
lot more about the lore to beat back and forth with. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Give us a like, a follow, all that fun stuff on either YouTube or Twitch, and we really appreciate your time. Have a good one. And thanks, Ryan, for hanging out with me today. Sorry I couldn't contribute more, but
Oh,
I
that's
learned
all
a lot
right.
from you, so I do appreciate that.
No problem. Thanks, and have a good day, guys.
All right, we'll see you.